Namaste, guys. ChristianRLong, life enhancement consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Saturday afternoon. It's about 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time right here in Denver, Colorado. Living the dream. I do not have a wife beater on. I promise. It's actually my tank top. I just finished working out at the gym. I usually don't work out on the weekends, but I missed a workout this week, so I scurried my little butt over to the gym, did a quick 30-minute workout. It was arm day. Yeah! And it was good. There was a girl working out next to me that probably in her mid to late 20s and probably 6'3", 6'4". Beautiful, super fit, but super tall. I was like, that's amazing. And I was going through pictures sent to a friend of mine, and it was a picture taken 7 or 8 years ago when I was traveling the country, and I believe this particular picture was taken in Beaumont, Texas. And I remember going into this club in Texas, and my friend and I at the time, we were working around the country, so we went to 20 different cities around the country doing his rock, fossil, and gem business. And whenever we were done for the events that we were working at, we had the whole night free. We had a lot of time free, actually. So when we had the night free, we would head over to clubs in the area. Now, if you've ever been to Beaumont, Texas, or if you've ever been to small towns throughout the Midwest and the West Coast and the mountain areas, there's not a lot happening. Pedro, Namaste, doing our hatik. Beautiful. I love to hear that. That's super awesome. Very, very good. Long time Pranikila and our Hatik Yogi. Pedro bringing the heat. I got messages coming all over the place, guys. Let me stay focused. Ajna. Let me stay focused. And so we're going to all these different places. We're dancing. We're having a ball because that's the thing that we would do in the evening. Him and I loved, and when I say loved, I don't know what's a bigger word than love. I don't know what that word is, but him and I loved going out dancing. Big cities, mid cities, teeny tiny baby cities, whatever it was, we would go out and we'd mix it up and we would go dancing. And a lot of the times, the places we went to, people weren't into dancing. They were into drinking, they were into socializing, they were into playing pool, they were into playing darts. So there wasn't a lot of action happening on the dance floor. And I remember one time, Vikram, I'm going to say, I remember one time we were in, I think we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma, if I remember correctly. And we had a blast in Tulsa. Tulsa is an amazing city. If you've never been there, they have a river walk that goes on for about 20 miles with, this beautiful walking path that's right by the river. And you can just go on and on. Like there's people walking their dogs, rollerblading, skateboarding, couples walking, moms and babies walking. There's just a lot of action going on. Bicycling. There's little recreational places. There's a lot of cool things happening. I recommend going to Tulsa. If you've never been to Tulsa, go to it. When we were there, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and somewhere else seemed everything to be under construction when we were there. But anyways, I digress. So we were mixing it up, tearing it up, having a blast, dancing at one of the places, and I was the only person on the dance floor. Big dance floor. I was the only person on the dance floor, and I was dancing by myself for a good 45 minutes. And my friend came up to me and he's like, "That's what I love about you, man. You don't care. You love dancing so much, you just go on the dance floor and dance," right? Because a lot of people, they need to drink a little bit, build up some liquid courage to feel comfortable going on the dance floor with a bunch of people, never mind going on the dance floor with no people. But I've always been kind of a ham, always been a little performer. I remember when I was 4 or 5 years old, my older brothers who are 10 and 11 years older than me, they would bring over some of their high school friends, who knew other high school friends, and they would come over to our house to hang out, watch TV, listen to music, whatever. And I would be performing for these teenagers. So I would do breakdancing moves. At the time, Michael Jackson's Thriller music video was out. It was the Crave and the Rave and whatever at the time. So I would model some of the moves, and I would bust it out and do like little breakdancing, like spinning on my head, all kinds of stuff. Like even now I'm like, how did I do those things when I was 4 or 5 years old? Anyways, good times. So isn't it funny how the story started here and now we're like way over here, but eventually we're going to loop back around to the original point of the story. So when we were going to one of these clubs in Beaumont, Texas, we were leaving it, and it was one of those huge, what's the word I'm looking for? Country line dancing. Jaron, namaste. What's up, son? It's been years since I've seen you on the stream. Good to have you on. One of my homeboys from back in the day in Massachusetts. So we're at this Beaumont, Texas country line dancing place, and we were there for maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours. It was pretty fun. We were mixing it up, tearing it up. I'm not a country line dancer, but I'm all about expanding my comfort zone, putting myself into unfamiliar territory and circumstances to see what happens and to mix it up. And a northern boy in a southern country line dancing club who's a little mouthy, this is about 7 years ago, maybe not the best combination in the world, but we ended up harmonizing with a few of the people that were there before we left. So that's good. We didn't we didn't have any loose ends to tie up, if you will. So as we're leaving this country line dancing place in Beaumont, Texas, it's super dark as we're heading out to the main entrance, and I bump into what I think at the time is a pillar. You know what a pillar is, right? This solid, massive, super high structure that's immovable, right? Well, instead of me actually running into a pillar, I ran into a girl. This girl, give or take, I know how tall I am. My body's 5'8". Give or take, this girl was 6'9". Give or take, 6'9". The tallest girl I'd ever interacted with, I'd ever seen, I'd ever knew about in my entire life. I might post the picture on Facebook. There's Brittany. Namaste. I might post the picture on Facebook if I'm feeling a little spunky. But running into her, literally and metaphorically, was like, and whenever I see really tall people, I don't know what it is about my personality, I always want to get a picture with them. And I don't mean tall like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I mean like super tall, like guys that are 7 feet or taller, or apparently girls that are 6'9" or taller, right? And I'm like, can I get a picture with you? She was super cute too. Super cute, super feminine, just happened to be 6'9". And here's the real kicker, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the real kicker. She's wearing high heels. I couldn't make this up if I tried. She wasn't 6'9", Stephen, namaste. She wasn't 6'9" with heels. She was 6'9" without the heels. So who knows how tall this girl actually was? And she's still wearing heels. She's wearing a black tank top, the leopard print or something like that for her skirt. Adorable, cute as a button, but as tall as a tree. So we went outside and we got a picture with her, and she was like all about it. And I have my hands around her, and her hips are at my shoulder. So I'm like a little kid hugging her, and then of course my friend is behind her going, no tact whatsoever. So what does Steven say here? Hold on. After being leery about many things and coming up on my birthday, August 13th, oh snap, 3 more days, I must admit I'm a bit leery about the side effects of getting older. Perfect. So this is where Steven, in his brilliance, in his ability to tap into subtle energies, leads us all the way. Remember, we started here, and we went on a little journey with each other, and then we're coming back, and then because of Steven, we're right back where we originally intended to be, right? God, there's so many messages coming in. Why are all these messages coming in? I'm trying to do a stream. I love you guys. Anyways, so, yeah, cute as a button. So, something occurred to me. Now, my body just turned 39 years old, right? 39 years old. I feel, Adriana, namaste, I feel stronger, not stronger than I've ever felt before. Actually, January of this year was the strongest I've ever felt. Because I haven't been to the gym in about 6 months, my strength has gone down, but my cardiovascular has gone up because I'm rollerblading every day for about 45 minutes to an hour. So my lung capacity, my endurance and stamina, that's one of those words I can't seem to say correctly. Stamina? Is it stamina or stamina? Is it an N or an M? Stamina. Anyways, it's one of those words I have a hard time saying. And when I was younger, until I was like 12 or 13 years old, another word that was difficult to say was ambulance. Ambulance. Took me forever to say the word ambulance. It was very, very difficult. And some of you may not know this. You guys see me on these streams. We do them pretty much daily, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes over an hour. I haven't done an over an hour stream in a hot minute. But stamina. So when I was younger, I had a speech impediment. I couldn't say my S's, I couldn't say my SH's, and I couldn't say my TH's. I had staying power. I know what the word means, Stephen. I'm talking about pronouncing it. So I had a speech impediment, and I had to see a speech therapist not every day, but like 3 times a week for, I think about a year and a half or maybe 2 years. 2 different speech therapists. And it was challenging. It's embarrassing. It's like everyone else, you hear them and they sound normal, and you hear yourself and it sounds normal, but you have people telling you that you're not saying something correctly. I'm like, what do you mean Sally picked up seashells by the seashore? What do you mean? And she goes, the air is coming out through the sides of your mouth. The air is supposed to come out through the front of your mouth. And you have air coming out through the sides of your mouth. I'm like, whatever. And so we had all these practices of like index cards, little pictures, and Sally, and Tom, Dick, and Harry, and all these different things that would get me to practice my THs, my SHs, and my S's. Then eventually, one day, magically and mysteriously, I started to pronounce my words correctly. Isn't that funny, though? You guys would look at me and go, well, he speaks a lot, so he must be confident with his speech. I'm absolutely confident. Doing this right now, what you and I are exchanging and sharing with one another, for me, is one of the most natural things on the planet. This is like breathing to me, right? So when people say, oh, I have a super hard time speaking in public, or I get frozen, or I overthink everything, or I have to say it perfectly, it's like, I can't relate to that, right? Everything I say isn't perfect. I mess up my words all the time. I mess up my point. We go around and around and around, and eventually we get to the point. If I need to make a point, I'll make it very clearly, because I'm clear about my thoughts. And this is well connected, right? The thoughts and the words are well connected. So this is like breathing to me, and I love doing this, right? It's really cool. So hold on, everyone. What did Stephen say? Stephen is all about it. I got 2 good reasons for not pronouncing words well. The TBIs and needing more coffee. I have coffee right over here. Yeah, I know, but if I talk about staying power, you and others can riff on that. Get sarcastic, and you... Oh, man, I missed a golden opportunity to run with that, Stephen. You're absolutely right. My apologies. About the last thing I need is somebody to throw me a big not a curveball, lob it over the, what is it called in baseball? I don't play baseball, but lob it over the thing like an easy hit. I don't need any easy hits when it comes to sexual innuendos. Believe me. That's probably why I missed it, because I'm calming that part of my life down, that part of my mental and emotional body down, relaxing it, calming it. Due to the bleeding in left temporal lobe, I still have to work on enunciating in order sequence and saying the word I want instead of a similar sounding word. I just work around the brain injury as best I can and with a sense of humor. True to that, Stephen has had more physical surgeries in the past year than I think most families have in their entire lifetimes. The man's a champ, and he's on the streams almost every single day, adding value, asking questions, and like you said, sense of humor. I love it. I'm like, could I have a sense of humor like Steven does if I were going through a similar physical procedures over and over and over again? Amazing. You're an inspiration, my friend. I got a curved spine. Does that count? You said spine, right? Am I reading that correctly? So this goes back to what we were talking about with Steven bringing up the point about getting older, which is the original topic of today's stream. My body just turned 39 years old, and several of my friends and people closest to me have recently had their birthdays. I know a lot of Leos in my life, a lot of Leos. Like I was married to a Leo. I've dated many Leos. When I was running the physical meditation group here in Denver, we had many Leos because we would always celebrate their birthday together. So I just experienced a lot of Leos. So a lot of birthday action has been happening lately. And as my body gets older, it gets happier, more joyful, hopefully wiser. But I noticed some things that used to take like that to recover physically maybe take a day longer than before. But I would say in general, my physical health is better now at 39 years old than it was when my body was 21 or 22 years old. Pretty amazing. And I say that with humility and awareness because my nutrition at that time in my life was horrible. Horrible. Not because I was not eating good, healthy food, but because I was also eating a lot of junk food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which isn't very good for your brain, for your emotional body, for your nervous system. It just, sugar, refined sugar is a neurotoxin. It's not good for you. So, connected to aging, have you noticed in your own life as you age, you have what is known as calcified ideas or calcified thought forms. So what would be a perfect example of that? The personal computer comes out in the mid-'80s. Who were the people that most likely adapted and accepted the new technology? Was it the people in their 60s and 70s? Or was it the people in their mid to late 20s accepted that technology? When you had the internet come out in 1996, who were the people that were most rapidly embracing the new technology? Was it the people in their 50s and 60s? Or was it the people in their late teens, early 20s? Right? So, as we age, there's a tendency for our thoughts, our words, and our behaviors to be calcified and stuck in a rut, preventing us from seeing other options, other opportunities, other things that we can take advantage of. So we become less flexible and more rigid in our thinking. And and for some reason, part of it is my body turned another year older. People around me that are close to me are turning another year older. My son had his birthday in March. His body is a year older. And I'm reflecting on older family members in my life, and I'm like, they're very, very, very set in their ways. The way they eat, the way they travel or don't travel, the way they do basically anything from what they watch, what they listen to, what books that they read, all of these other things. And I said to myself, who do I know that is in their late 50s, 60s, or 70s that has a flexible mind, an adaptable mind, a mind that's willing to see new opportunities and willing to change or let go of old ways of being, old ways of thinking. And you know who came to my mind immediately? Master Glenn, Master Marilag Mendoza. They're both in their mid-60s, pranic healing masters. One's a very successful doctor. The other one is a business owner. And I realized that they're always at the cutting edge of everything. soon, namaste, they're always at the cutting edge of everything. They, like, for instance, there's a technology called Zoom, Zoom. Zoom is a technology for video conferencing. You can record your video conferences. You can have password encrypted video conferences for people that pay a fee or a membership to log on and to experience interacting with a speaker and sharing expertise back and forth, right? A lot of people, even my age, have never heard of Zoom and have never done a video conferencing thing. They're like, just call me on the phone, or just do this, or just do that, right? And they're inflexible with embracing a new technology. Same thing with, like Snapchat or YouTube or the different apps that are available out there, right? We have a set way of being, but it's like all of these things are nothing more than tools. And a tool's purpose is to leverage time, money, and energy to get more bang for your buck. So if there's a new app out there that will make your life easier, and all you have to do is embrace that app, learn the app, and apply it into your life, why wouldn't you do it? And the reason you wouldn't do it is because of old thoughts, old feelings, old behaviors that are keeping you stuck in a rut, right? So that's what I've noticed that the masters, Scott, Namaste, that's what I've noticed the masters in pranic healing are always learning something new. They're always changing with the times, and that's not easy to do, because I even catch myself doing certain things in certain ways that I've done for a long time that no longer serve me. I'll give you a really funny example. You might even do this, I don't know, if you do your own laundry. So, I was reading that how many of us, when we do our laundry and we're putting our clothes into the washer, it depends on the type of washer you have, but in general, you put your clothes into the washer, then you put the soap on top of the clothes. How many people do that? That's how I was taught. That's how I've been doing it for 25 years, right? But actually, I read an article that it's more effective to put the detergent, depending upon your machine, it's more effective to put the detergent in first, then put your clothes in. And I'm like, huh? But guess what I keep doing? What's more efficient and effective? Putting the soap in first. What do I keep doing? I put my clothes in first, then I put the soap in, right? It's a calcified idea. It's a set way of being. It's the less effective way of doing something, but I just keep doing it anyways. So think about how much mental and emotional agility, awareness, and understanding it would take for you to examine and look at all of your behaviors in life. Your calcified thoughts in your relationships, your calcified thoughts in your finances, your calcified thoughts in your spiritual practice, your calcified thoughts in how you interact with family members, your calcified thoughts in fashion, your calcified thoughts in whatever. So an example is, in general, my hair had been the same way for a number of years. You know people like this, that their hairstyle has been the same hairstyle forever just because it works for them, because they don't have to put a lot of thought into it, and they don't put any like updating their fashion or their clothes. And I realized, wow, I've had the same hair. Namaste, Jennifer. I've had the same hair, and this is years ago, the same hairstyle for 15 years. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grow my hair out. So I had to let go of the old way of being and embrace a new way of being. So guess what? I let my hair grow, and then when it got longer, I was able to put it back. When it got a little bit longer, a girlfriend and I, we did corn rolls. I have pictures of it years ago, like maybe 3 years ago. Corn rolls of my hair, which as a white guy, not coming from, Compton, to have corn rolls, it was pretty funny. And I kept it in for maybe a day or so, and then, cleaned out my hair, got my act together. I've had my hair back in a ponytail. I've had it in a man bun. I've paid a lot of money to have it professionally styled. I've used different kinds of products, gels, creams, mousses. Why? Because I'm trying to add variety and not be stuck in a certain way of being. I remember a very, very successful business owner that I met who had done real estate projects that were in the hundreds of millions of dollars. He met, Ronald Reagan. This is this guy, when I met him 15 years ago, he was in his late 70s, early 80s. He was so old. How old was he? He was so old that he actually created the commercial, the grid lines for the town of Sarasota, Florida in the 1940s. Like, it was a beach town. They're like, hey, we need to start breaking it up. We need to start having like a comprehensive development plan for our city. So he actually designed that. So I had a time to meet with him one day. I think we met twice, and it was amazing to meet with somebody that successful and that well-known and that humble, to meet with him and to take up a half hour of his time one day and a half hour of his time another day. It was a huge honor, and I really wish I would have taken his advice more to heart when I met him. But he said to me something very interesting. Again, this is a man in his late 70s, early 80s. You would think his thoughts, his speech, his feelings, his behaviors would be super, super calcified because of his age. Nope. Flexible, adaptable, always changing. So he said to me, one of the best things that you can do is take a different way to work every week. Go a different way to work, come home from work a different way, because you will see things that you have been not paying attention to. So one of his best examples this was in the 50s or 60s. I think it was in the 50s. When he was driving on the highway one day, he looked off in the middle of in the median, right? In the median where the cars can pass over on the highway. And he saw these huge, not cinder blocks, but concrete barriers. And he had seen them for a few months, and grass was growing around them, and he goes, why are those still there? They're valuable. A construction company could use them. Why are they still there, right? So he ends up calling the Department of Transportation in that area, and he says, hey, I noticed that you have these concrete barriers. And I mean, I have the resources to take those off your hand if you're interested, right? He didn't at the time, but he said, whatever. Low network connection. Perfect. So, very interesting point about receptivity to new technology. Thanks, Afsoon. Awesome. So, he ended up getting these concrete barriers. He found a buyer for the concrete barriers, and he sold them. He made $10,000 or something like that, $10,000 profit on concrete barriers that weren't even his. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is in the 50s. And the point I'm making is, he says you have to keep your eyes open. You have to have a fresh perspective on everything. Don't let things slide, because there's opportunity everywhere. There's opportunity everywhere. What do I mean by that? There's opportunity everywhere in our relationships, to improve our relationships, to improve the quality and quantity of our relationships. There's opportunity to make more money if we open our horizons, if we let go of old ways of thinking and being and doing, right? In our spiritual practices, right? I remember my mentor recently said in December of last year, he says, you have to keep your Arhatic yoga practice fresh. You have to keep your Arhatic yoga practice fresh. So don't be like, all right, time to sit down and do twin hearts. Okay, time to sit down and do this Arhatic yoga meditation. Okay, time to sit down and do this purification technique, right? If you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, your practice is stale. It's become rote. It's become partially calcified versus, how can I tap into more love? How can I tap into more hope? How can I tap into more faith? How can I tap into more light, more love? More joy. What would that look like? What would that feel like? How can I expand my inner world? Is this making sense? So that's my encouragement to each and every one of you who are watching the live stream right now or watching the replay is, as we age, there is a tendency for our thoughts, our speech, and our behaviors to become calcified. We do something just because that's the way that we've always done it, right? But what would it look like if we saw the world with new eyes, with new possibilities, with new opportunities? Marcor, namaste. What would that all look like, right? If we let go of the old way of doing things. Now, that's not to say that there's not validity in certain ways of doing things. But it's less about the way of doing it, and it's more about the virtue. And what I mean by that of the virtue of constancy of aim and effort and non-laziness, industriousness, right? One-pointedness. Those are all well and good. And it's super important because without the virtue of constancy of aim and effort and non-laziness, we can never practice, we can never achieve greatness. You need that virtue to be great. But you also need to be aware. You also need to be understanding, right? You have to be flexible and not rigid. Does that make sense? Flexible, adaptable, open, receptive, looking at all the possibilities and opportunities. My physical health may have had challenges from the body taking so many hits. I make up for it with better mental, emotional, and spiritual health. When we can fix, we work around, or we features the problems, i.e. turn the problems into benefits. The meanings we attach to things and situation is up to us. Beliefs are arbitrary anyways, so we do well to pick resourceful beliefs. I'm always open to upgrading my models and leveling up. Spinal curves are from multiple spinal injuries. Just got to work around them. Yes. Perfect. Right. So that's where we have to be. We have to practice self-honesty and non-self-delusion and look at our belief systems and go, okay, I'm suffering right now in my health, in my relationships, in my finances, in my career, in my spiritual practice. There is suffering. Okay, could that suffering be based on a limited belief, a false belief, an old belief, an inaccurate belief? Well, yes. Because as you change your viewpoint, you either increase or decrease your suffering. You either increase or decrease your suffering. So let's say, you have the belief system that all old people are bad drivers. Fernando, Atma Namaste. Let's say your belief system is that all old people are bad drivers. That belief will cause you suffering every time you see an old person pulling out of a parking space, pulling into a parking space that is in front of you on the highway or a county road. It's always going to cause you suffering. Versus another higher belief system could be we are all entitled. We are all entitled to drive, or we're all entitled to have freedom to come and go as we please, right? So then when you see an older person driving into a spot, coming out of a spot, or in the middle, in the middle lane going slow, you remind yourself of that more empowering, more accurate viewpoint of like, what's the big deal? We're all entitled to have freedom to come and go as we please, right? So that belief system serves you. That belief system helps move you forward. Or you can have a even less empowering belief system and say, not just old people are bad drivers. You could say, all people are bad drivers. Well, that belief system wouldn't serve you very well. That belief system would cause you a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of anxiousness and stress. So it wouldn't be very, very good for you, right? So I hope we made the point. I hope it's clear to you guys. That's why people who are always learning and growing and evolving have a tendency not to have calcified ideas. When you read books that are contrary to your viewpoint, you expand. When you listen to podcasts that are contrary to your viewpoint, you expand. When you watch movies that are contrary to your viewpoint, you expand. When you study cultures and travel to places that are contrary to your viewpoint, you expand. Have you noticed people who travel a lot tend to be very flexible, very adaptable, very fast-moving people? Versus somebody who grows up in a small town and has only associated with the small circle of influence. They all read the same books, watch the same movies, go to the same places, live in the same neighborhoods, right? They have a very limited, calcified viewpoint of the world. That's not saying all. I'm making a generality. That's not saying all. It's general. So, that's my recommendation to you. Keep an open mind, keep a flexible mind, keep an adaptable mind, and a lot of that has to do with the throat chakra. The throat chakra, when it doesn't have enough green in it, green energy, green prana, our viewpoints, our ideas tend to be very calcified, very fixed, very rigid. So you need to disintegrate and remove those old calcified thought forms and then flood the throat chakra with more fresh green energy, breaking up the disease-congested energy, breaking up the old calcified ways of thinking. Because if you can change your thinking, you change your speech, you change your feelings, you change your actions, and you get different results. Now, are those results going to be better? Well, it depends. If you have more accurate viewpoint, you will have better results. If you have less accurate viewpoint, you will have less better results. Does that make sense? So, that being said, for those of you who I can serve in any way, shape, or form, for those of you who are super inspired to transform your life, go to ChristianRLong.com. Very easy. ChristianRLong.com. Sign up for a consultation, 30 minutes, free. Jerry, I'm an namaste. Or, if you know what you need healing on, then you schedule a healing session and we'll do 30 minutes of coaching, 30 minutes of healing to transform your life, bring you from where you are to where you want to be. And also, if you have friends that are in need of healing, have them reach out to me as well. I look forward to serving as many people as often as possible until I leave this physical body. So, love you guys very, very much. I hope you're having a beautiful Saturday or whenever you're watching this, and a beautiful weekend, and a beautiful life. This is Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant. Atma. Namaste. Bye-bye.